Hi, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet on the call. Today I have Olivia Grisham, I've got Natasha Telger, and Tammy Stone. So we've got the whole group of us today. And we are supposed to be having a guest speaker, and I'm hoping that she calls in soon so that we can cover those items with her, but we've got enough to cover in advance of that, so we're going to get going. So let's see. Olivia, would you like to share your screen and go over the dashboard numbers?
Yeah.
And Olivia, since you guys are on speaker down there, you're going to have to get real close to the speaker when you're talking, unless you want me to just do it.
Do you want to pull it up on your screen and I can talk through it?
All right, I can do that.
Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, but I'm on the call.
All right, I see a bunch of yeses.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Okay, so this is the live dashboard, and we're on the enrolled dashboard.
All righty, can you zoom it in just a hair more?
I'm at 150%.
Okay. So our first section up there that we really need to keep an eye on to make sure everybody is on target and our customers are getting moved through the dashboard is the referral pending appointment has not been scheduled. If you have any customers in that section, they have not officially been scheduled to set up to be with an appointment with you guys. So you just need to reach out to them, and DHS will also try to get them an appointment set up. But we need to just get them in so we can figure out where we're going to go with these customers and what kind of training program they're going to be engaged in and all that.
Are they not scheduled because they don't have appointments in the calendar? Do they need to make sure they have appointments?
Yeah,
we need to make sure that there's appointments in there.
Yeah, and it might be the biggest reason why customers have not been scheduled is because there are no appointments.
So it'll create a lot less work for you if you just have your appointment calendar updated.
And then the next section is the referral pending 2151 past due. That means 48 hours have passed since the customer's initial appointment, and a 2151 has not been uploaded to reflect whether or not a customer attended that appointment. So we really need to make sure we're getting these uploaded within the first 48 hours. That way DHS can bring them in for conciliation and make sure they get re-engaged if they did not show up. And if they did show up, then we can have them continue to flow through this dashboard so they can get through all the processes they need to so they can get started with training. The next section is referral accepted, enrollment started, enrollment required, the very last yellow one. There's 34 customers who do have a 2151 uploaded with client services initiated, but they have not been enrolled in a specific training program. We have to make sure that we're getting them enrolled in that training program as quickly as possible so we can save a spot for them in that training program. If you wait until the training program starts, it might already be full, and then that customer is not going to be very happy when they have to pick a different training program or wait again until it becomes open. So we really need to be enrolling them as soon as we initiate services with them. And the next section is the CBO needs to upload past due. So this means that the 2151A was not uploaded for the customer between the 1st and the 5th of each month. We really, really, really have to make sure that they're getting uploaded between the 1st and the 5th of each month, especially for Region 1. Now that these staffings are going on, this is going to be really critical to making sure that everything is being documented correctly and in accordance with the policies we have set in place with DHS. So you really need to get those uploaded between the 1st and 5th of every month. And then if you have say you have a customer come in on the 17th of February, they should not be in that section because you should still be uploading a 2151A for them immediately that lays out the plan that you have going to put in place with them. So if you have customers in that section and you had just got them, you still need to be uploading a 2151A and getting them into that green section. And then if we scroll down more towards the bottom, you will see where it says exit status completion documentation needs uploaded. This means that these 9 customers have exited the program, but the proper documentation has not been uploaded to reflect that. So they will not move into the green or red section until all the documentation is uploaded, and it will show you in red text on the exit status section of the progress page exactly what needs uploaded. So do you guys have any questions about any of these sections we just went over?
I don't see anybody typing right now. I just pulled an Olivia trick. I was talking and not and had myself on mute. All right, we've got a couple people typing. Let's see if they're asking questions about the dashboard. As you can see, when we were looking at the CBO needs to upload 2151A past due, we've got 608 there. That's because today is February 1st. So we've got until the 5th to get those uploaded. So if everybody can make sure that you get your 2151s uploaded. Now, if you need to start like Monday or Tuesday and just have them saved and ready to go, you can do that. I had a chat with one of our CBOs about doing something like that. Do I move everyone who is not SNAP eligible to the completion stage?
No, go ahead, Dee.
We were just talking about that, so go ahead.
If they're not SNAP eligible, they can just stay where they are for that time, because they will become eligible or have the opportunity to become eligible again in 90 days. Now, if they have repetitively became not SNAP eligible and they're not coming back into eligibility after 4 months, then we can consider exiting them from the program, but we do need to give them an opportunity to be re-engaged after their eligibility comes back around. Right. Yeah, and even if you exit them, you can still unexit them and continue to re-engage them. And exit is not the end-all unless they have called SNAP and withdrew from the study. And in that case, it'll show on the dashboard as withdrew from study, and we're going to be pulling those numbers in from EPIS, so they will be very accurate numbers, and we don't want to engage those people.
One customer is listed that part.
So for your one question is, I have one customer who's listed as exempt. How do I proceed with this customer? So for your exempt customers, you're going to treat them exactly the same as a mandatory customer. However, they cannot be recommended for sanction. So you're going to still try to engage them and get them involved as much as possible. You can even do a conciliation with them, where you can try to get them to come in and kind of go over what needs to be worked on if they're going to continue to engage in this program. And if you cannot get a hold of them and they are not willing to participate and they are exempt, then you can go ahead and exit them and drop from the program, because there's nothing we can mandate to make them participate. And then I have a question. I would like to access all of the previous webinars so I can get caught up with the previous knowledge on my own.
I'm going to show him.
Okay.
All right. The number is 866-821-1611. That's the webinar phone number. So if you dial in there, then Juanita, I will open up your phone line when it is time for you to talk. All right. Okay, so let's move on to the next item. I got a message today, an email message today from one of the CBOs to add a new caseworker to the list. So if you have changes, if people have moved on, please make sure that you send us that information so that we can keep the CBO primary contact list up to date. We will be sharing a new and improved DHS contact list for you guys. I had reached out to Deidre today, but I think she's off potentially visiting a grandchild. I'm not quite sure where she is, but maybe we can get that from Aurelie or from Lisa. Maybe they can send that to us today still to update that list. I did send you guys a copy of that email as well. Reverse referral. Let's take a little bit of a look. First, I'm going to show Orlando where he can get all of this information. And we have the Illinois WorkNet EPIC Pilot Program Partner Guide. And Olivia, if you can type that link in there for me. The EPIC Partners, IllinoisWorkNet.com/EPIC Partners, will take you right here to this page, and you can get all of the archived webinars right here. You can get tutorials here, and if they are CBO related, they say CBO in the title. So for example, this one right here, EPIC Tutorial, CBO adding a training program. So those are, it's EPIC Partners, Olivia. It will tell you, and then you can read some of the other ones, but you won't have access to some of those particular items. iStep is all for the CBOs, so make sure that you watch those tutorials. Then we also have, Orlando, a full list of resources that you can click on, and it says CBO in front of each of those documents. And while we're in here, we do have an, the reverse referral process that we need for you guys to follow. We've had a couple of issues recently with some of the DHS offices not knowing what the EPIC program is, and some of the CBOs have sent some customers there. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you guys are following the reverse referral procedure. And that is complete a 2151 referral back to DHS. Include your CBO name and address and contact information, and put that you are making that reverse referral. Let me try and make this just a little bit bigger here. That you're doing the EPIC program reverse referral and what address you're sending that customer to. Now, they should know what their local office is. And then you contact the primary contact from the DHS contact list, and we're getting that one updated, and send that with the customer, but then email it to the primary contact, the backup contact, the regional contact, and then the statewide contact, which at this moment is Deidre Wesley. And then make sure that that way, then somebody will find out that that customer is going to be coming. So that's our reverse referral process. So if we can please follow that, it hopefully will eliminate some of the issues of the customer showing up at the DHS office and then being able to find out more about the particular program. And then the staff at the desk will know that they're coming. Okay, Kelsey is going to send email to Olivia about fixing the contact. And then Eric is saying, posting random question. I seem to no longer be able to download payroll upload templates. Can we use previous templates and just change the information? Also, payroll updates do not appear to be reviewed. Is this something we are still supposed to be doing? Tammy, do you want to answer the payroll reviews? And yes, Eric, if you're having problems getting the download, we will get that checked into, but yes, you can use a previous template as long as your people are still the same. So now, Tammy, what about the payroll reviews?
Yeah, the payroll reviews, that's on my desk, so I will be looking at those. We haven't had a lot of those put in yet. So, and if you are not doing that, that's something that you guys need to start doing, is if you're doing paid work experience in your program, you need to make sure that you're documenting that in the WorkNet through the payroll upload system. So we are dividing out all the CBOs between our staff, and we're going to be doing some more intense TA and looking at your information, and so we'll help you that on an individual basis on the payroll uploads also.
Okay. 2839 form, Nellie, I don't know. I've never seen that one before. We can ask somebody from DHS what the 2839 form is and see what we're supposed to be doing with that. I made a note about that. What do we do if a customer is on a caseload but has been determined ineligible for SNAP because of income, but he did not attend his initial appointment? Well, you don't do anything with him because the DHS office should mark him as ineligible. If they have not done that on the case, then send us an email and we will follow through with that because DHS has to mark the customer as ineligible. Aurelia emailed me the list. Thank you. We'll get that out with the case notes or the meeting notes from this meeting. For the reverse referrals, you mentioned to email all those people should be through Illinois WorkNet. You're correct. They aren't customers yet. It's a reverse referral. So you're not going to be including their Social Security number. You're just going to be including their name and address. But that's a good point, Mary. OAI says we have completed the 2151 and the 2151A. Is there anything else we need to do for what? If it's a new customer, you need to do that for everybody. And then the 2151A monthly on what they did the previous month. We sent a client for reverse referral with the 2151. They gave him an appointment for 2/7/17 to discuss your redetermination TANF responsibility. Please advise. Maybe they think that that particular customer is receiving TANF based on their file. So that's the one big thing. Customers cannot be receiving TANF and participate in the EPIC program. Please remember that, and please let all of your customers know. And what you do is you say, do you get a TANF check at your house? That's all you have to do. The 2839 form is the SNAP employment plan. All right, Juanita, we may need to know why they would have sent that since this is an EPIC program, and we have not been informed about using that 2839 at all. Perhaps they were a regular JPP customer that got referred, so you would want to check in the system. Who was that asked that question about the 2839? Nellie, you may need to make sure that the customer is in the EPIC system and not just a JPP person.
But this is Natasha. Should they go ahead and proceed? Because you can download the 2151 and just proceed as normal. I don't know what you do with the 2839, but so if she's in the system, you can access the 2151, and then if they've already been set up with an appointment, I mean, it means that she's got to be in the treatment group, so you might as well move forward and work with her with the 2151, and in the meantime, we'll figure out what we're supposed to do with this 2839.
Right, exactly. Good point. Okay. Nancy says, so if someone else is on TANF in the house, it counts for our client even if he isn't getting it. In some cases, they have to verify that that customer is not part of the TANF caseload. For example, and I'm not DHS, so this is just my understanding of this, if they are an ABOD who is, maybe their mother is getting TANF for other kids in the house, but they've aged out of the TANF case, then they can still get it. But there could be some confusion because of the way that the TANF caseload is associated with everything. So it's best to just check on everything about that, Nancy.
And also keep in mind that eligibility determination is a DHS function, so you need to communicate back with your DHS counterparts because they are the ones that will determine eligibility for SNAP benefits. And if they are receiving TANF, they cannot be in EPIC.
All right, and Loris asks, once a customer is issued a reverse referral and accepted into the EPIC program, will they then be strictly EPIC and no longer have to participate in the regular SNAP program? Yes, but they still have to do the 80 hours a month. They still have to do the things that SNAP requires of them to continue receiving SNAP. Now, if they're truly participating in the EPIC program and doing it all out, they will meet those requirements and exceed them. If they, if you referred them and they did not come back to you, they'll do that with the new CBO. You would end your relationship with them as JPP, because Failings is JPP Provider, correct? Uh-oh, Loris is typing a book here. All right, I'm going to, okay, so what documentation will be issued to state that customer is strictly EPIC? I don't know. They show up in our system is what happens. I assume you're talking about somebody that was JPP before and has now been accepted into the EPIC program. All right. We're going to have to deal with that in a little bit because I've got to do some checking on that, Loris. So let me get back to that, okay? All right. We want to talk a little bit about the conciliation process right now quickly, and then we want to get on to the staffing process. So in our pod, we have the conciliation process, and I want to just show it to you real quickly. It has been updated, and what we need to ensure is that all of your 2151s make sense so that if a conciliation happens, this is the old document, Olivia, we need to update the new one, so that
it's in the pod.
It's in the pod, okay. I've got it here in my, I opened it up here. If we are doing a 2846G for a conciliation, the DHS staff need to have 2151As and case notes that augment that request for the conciliation, especially if it goes to sanction and there is an appeal process. So we need to make sure that case notes and comments all match and fulfill the requirements of what you're saying the customer is having the conciliation appointment about. And then if there is an appeal to that sanction, DHS will put a case note on the progress page of the customer profile, notify the CBO primary contact of the date and time of the appeal. They will review all uploaded documents and case notes leading to the point of sanction, and if anything needs to be updated, it needs to be updated prior to the date of the appeal. And by doing staffings with your DHS offices, even if you are not in Region 1, this will help make sure that all of the paperwork is appropriate and up to date So if you have not done a staffing with your local DHS office, you may want to do at least one if you're not in Region 1. Region 1 will be having them on a monthly basis, and if your DHS office is not reaching out to you, you may want to reach out to them. Okay, let's move on to Olivia. I'm going to minimize my screen here a second just to make sure that I got case notes and sending to DHS. I did not get that transferred onto my off-screen notes. So do you want to talk about case notes?
Yeah, so we have you guys enter in case notes on the customer's progress and everything that's going on with them. And as you guys before, there are multiple ways that you can send those case notes. You can just send it as a case note. You can add it as a case note and send it as an Illinois WorkNet message. Or you can add it as a case note, send it as an Illinois WorkNet message, and send it as an email. Whenever you just add it as a case note, you do not have to select who it's going to go to because it's just going to be added to the case note. When you send it as an Illinois WorkNet message and email, you have to select who that's going to, and most of the time you're going to be sending these to the DHS primary contact. However, we want to make sure that whenever we're sending case notes via WorkNet message and email to the DHS primary contact, we're only sending them things that are going to require immediate action upon them. So if you're just putting in like their progress, like they're doing good and you're just making case notes about that, you don't need to send those to the DHS contacts because it will flood their emails and they'll be less likely to pay close attention to what's coming in. We want to make sure that they're just getting the case notes that they need to do something with so they don't have to worry about their emails being flooded with a bunch of different case notes. If you guys have any questions on, well, I don't know if I should send it to them, but I should, you should probably go ahead and send it to them if you're questioning whether they should get it or not. But you can always reach out to me or the EPICAT email and see what I think, and we can go from there.
And Kelsey, are you saying on the, should we indicate the action expected from DHS in the case note? Is that what you're asking? All right. I would think so.
Yeah.
That way it makes it clear. And also when you're uploading the document, please include a description of the document so that if there's something like it is a conciliation request or anything major, that note is just right there, and they don't have to necessarily open up the document to know that that's being requested. Okay, and then voluntary and exempt customers cannot be sanctioned. You can still do a conciliation request on those customers, but if they don't show up for the conciliation appointment and they're voluntary or exempt, they cannot be sanctioned. So you would just have to continue to try to engage them. If they continue to not engage with you, then you would exit them from the program as an unsuccessful completion. Any questions about that? Okay, let's move on to the staffing process. And we have Juanita Sanders, who is the staffing guru with the Department of Human Services. And she is going to talk to us about the staffing process. But what we want to do first is we want to show you in the CBO TA files upload, we do have a document that has the staffing schedule. But what we want to do is we want to talk about what you need to do, and then I'm going to show you in EPIC, and then we're going to have Juanita clarify all of this so that we make sure that we have you guys doing this exactly the right way. So on my screen right now is the document. And what this says is this is all based on the policy from Department of Human Services, thank you, that is the WAG 210608. And I have that here, right here, so you can go read that if you need to as we move forward. In advance of the staffing, we need you to have every customer's 2151A uploaded by the 5th of each month. Now that's standard practice for us. We want those 2151s uploaded between the 1st and the 5th of every month. 3 days before the staffing we need you to complete and upload to the agency uploads the 4333 by each local office. So if you're going to staff with Roseland and Woodlawn and Cal Park, you need to upload 3 different 4333s. You're going to determine if face-to-face or an alternative location or phone is going to be acceptable. And then you're going to email the 4333 to the local office primary contact. The day of the staffing, you're going to bring a 4333 for the local office customer group. And now, Juanita, I need to open up your microphone, so I'm going to get into the phone and open up your mic. So, Juanita, talk to us. There you are. Okay, so now, does a 4334 need to be brought along for every customer or only the customers that are going to be staffed?
4334 should be brought along for every customer.
Okay. So let me change this because we're going to send this out to everyone. And we'll show you, I'm going to show everybody everything that we're talking about right here. I'm going to actually do this. And then you need to bring a copy of the most recent 2151A for each customer. You need to bring a list of case notes related to each customer who are being staffed, and apparently that would be every customer now. And then, if applicable, bring a copy of the current conciliation forms 2846G and 3392. All right, so now let's have Juanita explain this in case I missed anything. These were taken from your notes, Juanita, so hopefully we didn't miss anything.
No, I just want to make sure that when we talk about staffing, we may not verbally discuss each and every one of these customers, but we do have to have.
Can you speak up, Juanita? Juanita, can you speak up and move closer to your microphone?
Oh, okay.
And then turn off your computer speakers.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, but I'm on the phone. So can everybody else hear? Raise your hand with the little man on top of the screen if you can hear Juanita. Talk. Juanita, talk.
Oh, Juanita, talk. Me. Can you hear me? Is there feedback? Because I turned it off.
All right, I don't hear any feedback, and it sounds like everybody can hear you a little bit better.
Okay. What I wanted to make sure of is that although we're asking you for the notes, the 2151A, and the information on each customer, at the actual staffing, we may not discuss each one of those customers because we already have identified those customers that it is crucial to discuss based on you giving us that information in advance. Primarily, we will be discussing at the staffing those customers that there's an issue with, there's some non-cooperation, there is some discrepancies about where that customer may in fact be engaged with what provider, or we might need more detailed information regarding their activity or their progress.
Now, Juanita, we do have a question from the audience about, as we've had a discussion about this, we were under the impression that staffings were only required by Region 1. But is it now the case that everybody across the state is supposed to be doing staffings?
I have to defer to Deidre, but I did send that question in because according to our policy, everyone who receives SNAP and is with a provider has to do a staffing.
Okay. So we will get verification on that for those of you who are asking about that.
Outside.
The other question that we have from the audience is if the information is already in the dashboard, because we have all of this information that you're asking for in our EPIC dashboard, why is it necessary to bring copies of these documents to the staffing?
Because they're not going into your dashboard. They're actually going into the electronic case file of the customer, and that's what will be ultimately used for documentation and tracking purposes.
So, and they need the paper copies because you will scan and put them into the system, or are they just going into somebody's case file?
Right now, we're putting them in the case file. We will have them in the IES system when we go live. So we are training all of our staff to get it so that that file will be uploaded into IES. So we won't upload it from EPIC. We will be uploading it from the paper information that we get from our staffing for our policy.
Okay. And then hopefully once IES comes live and we have the data sharing agreement, we'll be able to get all of that information going electronically. But up until that time, we will have to do these paper copies.
Exactly.
So it is necessary to do both because then if you've got the electronic copy uploaded, we always know where to get it. If we just do a paper copy, it could get lost. This way we've got a backup in the EPIC system, and it can eventually, when IES goes live, then we will be able to do the data share. So it is necessary, Megan, sorry, to do it in both places. And then Nancy Brown is asking, can we get the names of the clients who will be discussed and only attend those? As it stands, we will have to go to 5 or 6 different offices and may not even talk about the client.
Right now, in this initiative that we're doing in Cook County, you will not be going to 5 or 6 offices. You go to one central location, and all of the offices will be there at a set schedule to meet you, to make sure we discuss everyone that is engaged with you as the EPIC provider. That's why we need the 4333 in advance to make sure those customers are still active and engaged with you.
And we do have that list. We are going to, it is in that list that's in the TA file download. It has where you need to report and the dates. So right now on February 10th for Region 1 South, you're going to be meeting at 1308 West 105th Street, and MidSouth is scheduled at 9 a.m. for these agencies. Oh, sorry, my screen went too big here. It's scheduled at 9 a.m. for all of these agencies, and that will be a, if you have customers at MidSouth, so they're scheduled at 9 a.m. for MidSouth. For all those agencies, it's going to be a round robin, and so you may have one customer for MidSouth. So you'll be there, and yes, Kelsey, yes, you'll all show up at 9 a.m. And then at 10:15, they're going to talk about the Woodlawn customers. At 11 a.m., they're going to talk about the South Suburban customers. And at 1 p.m., they're going to talk about the Roseland customers. And then on the 14th at 105th Street, they're going to talk about the Englewood customers at 9 a.m., the Cal Park customers at 10:15, the Southeast customers at 11 a.m., and then for Lower North, this is going to be first come, first serve, and it's going to be at West Fulton Street. And these are the offices that will be there is Western, South Loop, Uptown, Special Units, Lower North, and West Suburban, along with Humboldt Park and Northern and Northwest.
Hey,
So,
but you don't have to memorize all these because Olivia put them into the calendar on the CBO page, on the partner guide.
so on the partner guide, I'm pulling that up on the screen right now. So here we have, let me refresh this page. There they go. We have who's going to be at what staffing and where. So on the 10th, it has who has to be where, when, for which offices, and vice versa, and likewise for the 14th and the 17th. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here. We will send this list out with the notes from this meeting. Are these staffing dates for EPIC only, or will SNAP, ENT, and TANF staffings occur these days as well? Juanita, that question is for you.
Okay. Sorry.
Are these staffing dates for EPIC only, or will that be for SNAP, ENT, and TANF as well?
It's all three. If you have all three programs, we would like to staff them all at the same time. If you only have SNAP or just the EPIC, we would just do those. But yes, it's for all three.
And Megan asks, so what will we be doing during the downtime while we wait our turn to staff if there's not a large number of clients at a particular office? Can the staffings be done by phone? If you have less than 5 customers, you can do it by phone. But if you are staffing JPP, TANF, and EPIC, then you will need to probably go in person because that would put you over that 5-person limit. Then we have...
And Juanita, could you verify that if they have, is that correct on the DHS side, if there's 5 or less customers, that they can do it via telephone?
Yes.
And a site?
What we're trying to do with this one is because we didn't have everyone at our first staffing, trying to get a baseline so that they can meet their counterpart at that office and make an appointment if they're going to do it over the phone, whether they can do it and make sure that it's not missed. We do want the customers to be face-to-face at least once a quarter, even if you only have one, just so that we don't lose that customer, you know.
So for this very first staffing, everybody needs to show up.
Yeah, we just try to
at the
get them to
designated
show
time.
up, just for that
If
meet
they
and
have
greet, so we
even
can
one
all be
client
on
in
the-
that area. Yeah.
All right, and then we have a question that says, basically, how soon are you going to have March, April, May schedules ready to go so that we can get
Right
these
after we
consistently?
Well, we already have dates in mind. What we were trying to make sure is that this is working for everyone. So we were hoping to see the results of this with everybody on the same page and a larger turnout to see if this, in fact, is working for everyone or if we have to revert back to going to individual offices. But you will have it by the end of the month. Hopefully it's working, so you will have it before, well in advance of the March or April staffing.
All right. Nancy Brown is saying that Catholic Charities is not on this list, the one in the file pod, Nancy, I think. My concern is that we will again miss something and we were supposed to be there. Can we get a copy of this? You can download that list out of the file pod So if anybody wants that list right now, you can download it out of the file pod. Kelsey's saying that's difficult to read and involves clicking on a lot of dates. Please just send the doc. It's in the file pod. You can download it. We will include it with the email. Megan says, I have already done face-to-face staffings with most of the offices I have customers at. Is another face-to-face necessary? Megan is a JPP provider as well as an Epic provider, so does she have to come to the face-to-face again?
It has to be monthly, so I'm not sure. We're doing it always a month behind. So if we're doing a staffing in February, it would be for January attendance. And since January just ended yesterday.
Okay. But that doesn't answer her question of whether or not it's face-to-face or not.
It has to be face-to-face if there's more than 5 individuals, and it should be at this venue.
All the time if it's more than 5 people.
Right.
All right. Kelsey's saying that clicking on the CBO calendar, she doesn't have access. It hasn't been shared with them, so we will check into that. Loris, even if the staffings are done by different people, so if JPP has one person that staffs those and Epic has another person that staffs those, and JPP only has 5 people, I'm sorry, and Epic only has 5 people, but JPP has 25, do both people have to show up face-to-face?
Again, for this first one, yes, I would say yes. Afterward, you can discuss it with your ENT liaison that you do the staffing with in February. I wasn't sure if everybody had different people to do the staffing for the different programs or not. Some, it depends on the organization. Some of them allow them to do them all, regardless of the program.
All right. Krishina from OAI is asking, how do we do a staffing over the phone if we're not able to attend physically the staffing?
We will have to give you a phone number, and that's why we need to have a baseline of everyone at this session, because I'm not sure if we would want to do the phone staffing on the date that we're having this centralized staffing, or if you would do that separately with that employment and training liaison person.
Okay. Kelsey is saying that she needs 3+ weeks at least in advance of the staffing schedule because she already has appointments scheduled with customers. She cannot guarantee attendance on short notice, and for some people, 10 days is short notice. So what can they do?
I'm not sure. That's something you need to talk to. I can't answer that.
To your liaison. Talk to your liaison, Kelsey. The February staffing is the document that you need to download that has the calendar dates in it. Mary asks, and I'm not quite sure where Mary is from, Mary asks, Juanita, can we please get our staffing schedules, date, location? That's in that February staffing document that's in the file download. Margaret Haywood says she can't access the CBO calendar either, so.
Hey, Dee, we really need to, we'll answer questions later. Go ahead and type your questions, and we can respond to them directly, but we have a lot to cover in 10 minutes, and we really need to get moving on with the tools.
Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to, I'm logged into Test as a CBO provider, and what we're going to do, it's in this file pod right here that I just moved. What you would do is I'm logged in as a safe haven. So to do your staffing, what you need to do is click on customers. That will give you your list of customers that will need to be staffed. That's everybody that's in your list. And you've got a couple of options that you can do. You can export the whole list and sort it in Excel, which if you're good at that, you can do that. But one of the things that you can do is just go up here and select a local office. So if you know that you've got some customers at South Loop, you would click that local office, click search, and your 2 customers show up. So what you can do is copy the person's name. You have opened up a 4333 in Adobe Reader. You would put that person's name, you can paste that person's name in, put a comma after the last name so that we know that it's a first and a last name. Go back to the progress page of that customer and take a look at, excuse me, and take a look at the customer's progress. And one of the things that you can see here is an enrollment date in that list. I'll show it to you again in just a moment. So from the customer's progress page, you can copy their DHS case ID, Control-C, go back to your document, paste that into the case number, and then when you are on the customer's page, on their profile page, progress page, sorry, you can look to see what is the last 2151A that you uploaded. Do they have acceptable progress? Is it situation worse, meaning non-cooperation? So you see that that's acceptable progress. Then on here under provider, you've got 2 options, active participation or non-cooperation. You would fill in one of those on here. So that was an acceptable progress, so we put AP. And then go back to your file here, back page, back screen, or use the back arrow to go back to your list.
Hey, Dee, before you even leave that page, while you're still there, you might want to even go ahead and print off their case notes and their things so you have everything at one time.
Oh, good point. So,
back in there.
good point. So when we're here, we can click on the 2151A, print that off. Oh, yes, they want the case notes, Kelsey. So you would print this off, and then you can go up here to the case notes at the top of the page. And this is something new that's in test right now. We will have this pushed out to production before you have to do this for the staffing this month. You can look for case notes for a particular date. Now, I don't have anything in here for January, so I'm filtering for a case note that I just put in today, and I've put it on the wrong customer. But you can filter the list. Let me add a case note real quick. So here's the case note. If I export this list, it comes up in an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can print this page, which has all of the case notes, and it has it sorted by section. So it has the section, what the case note says, who entered it, and when it was entered. You can print this. It has all of the case notes for that date range. So then you would just have finished Gerard. So now we're going to go back to our list by using our back arrow, and we're going to get Taylor Johnson. Copy him, go to my 4333, paste him in, put a comma in, and then I'm going to go back to his progress page, and I'm going to take a look at whether or not he's acceptable progress. So I'm going to open up this file and print that. I'm going to get his DHS case ID, go back to my document, paste that in there. He's also acceptable progress. and then I would go back to his file one more time or do it before I go back to the 4333, find all of his case notes by date, and these are all old ones, but I could print this list and have that available. Then what I would do with this document for this 4333 is once you have the customers based on the office, just put what local office it was. I think I did South Loop here. So I'm going to save this South Loop. I'm going to save this file as my base file. The one thing that you can then do is go back here to your customer list, and once you sort it, if you notice there's this CBO enrollment date, and you can filter that so that you know if there's anybody new that needs to be added to your 4333. We've tried to make this as simple as possible for you so that we can make this easier for you because of the DHS requirements.
So
then
we understand it's a lot of work to do up front, but once you get your initial list of customers with their case IDs, then, you know, just keep it. Just make sure you keep it. So then maybe next month all you have to do is add one person. Regardless, you're still going to have to go in and update, you know, print all their documentation off, but at least you don't have to keep copying and pasting.
Right now, we've got a question from Nancy. Is it only enrolled customers or all? Juanita, is it only enrolled customers or all customers?
That's something I talked to Deidre about, and Deidre, I mean, you might need to speak to her. I thought it was only enrolled, but when she printed out our list, it printed out not enrolled also, because she said we needed to track them, everyone. So you might need to clarify that with her.
Okay.
So the staffings will be done for every single customer that has been assigned to your location. Even if they were a no contact, no show, they need to be on that 4333. The chance that you guys will talk about, like the no contact, no show, is very slim, but they still have to be on that 4333 for DHS to look at so they know where these customers were supposed to have gone and what's going on with them.
And like Natasha said, this first time is going to be difficult because you're going to have to put everybody in that. But after we get done with the first staffing, what you need to do is save that, and we recommend you save it based upon the file name, which is the 4333, and then include the name of the local office, and then do like a 2/17, so that's the staffing date for February 17. And then for March, when you do your staffing, you open up that file, you check and see if you have any new customers you need to add, you check and see if their status has changed in that status file on the 4333, and then you save that as 3/17. So what you're going to have eventually is a file that's going to be this document for each month, and you're just going to be adding to it. So this first time is going to take the most work for you guys to put everybody in it. And that's why we also have the element that's been added for the customer enrollment date, so you can sort it by enrollment date, and then you can just add those customers that for the March staffing, you'll just add the February customers that were newly enrolled, and then you need to check all of the status of all the clients to see if that's changed. So we're going to work with you guys on a one-on-one basis on this too for the first time going around to make sure, you know, the hard part is going to be, you know, getting all the other documentation, the case notes, and the 2151s printed out for them as we move on. But as we move on also, this first one is going to be a full staffing. And Juanita, correct me if I'm wrong, but as we move on, you know, it could be a little bit more limited to your cases that are requiring staffing. So, and Juanita, is that correct? Where as we move on, it'll be the critical cases that'll be discussed.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I saw a comment about will we be staffing sanctions. Again, if the customer is in sanction, we still need to track that customer until he's no longer receiving any benefits. So we do staff them, but we don't ask you anything about that sanctioned customer. You have them on your 4333. We look it up and say we sanctioned. We don't discuss it. We just notate it for our records.
Autumn is asking what is a staffing, and a staffing is where the community-based organization and the DHS office meet to talk about the customers. Initially, when we started this process, Cook County was the only offices required to do staffings, but we are trying to find out now whether that's going to be done across the state or not. So it would pay to watch this and know that we've discussed this today so that you can come back to this webinar to view the documentation and the issues if you do start doing them in other parts of the state. Let me move on, please. The 4333 needs to be saved. It is suggested that you save the 4333 as the office and then the date in numerical order so that you can filter or find them easily. So I'm going to save this document. Then I will have filled it out completely. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my agency, and I'm going to click on my agency, and here in the Uploads pod, this is where we upload the file. So I'm going to upload the file that I just saved. You guys get to see all my dirty secrets here. And then you would need to upload one of those files for each of the office staffings that you have to do. Again, these files will be able to be moved back and forth when IES becomes live. And this is a place to store them so that we know what's going on across the whole program. Then you would need to complete a 4334 for each customer. And what you would need to do is enter the participant name, the case number. So as you're creating your list and you're printing your files, it might be a good idea to start the 4334 and print it at the same time that you're printing the 2151A and the case notes. And you need to fill out Section A with work activities, assignments at, number of months with that employer provider name and location, days and hours, other activities, describe progress level of participant engagement. My suggestion would be to include a case note like this every month so that you have all of this information there. I know that Rock River Training tends to do a really nice detailed case note for each customer. So as they're moving forward with the program, they can go back and they can get all of that particular information. Now, this file needs to be uploaded. So if I go to Gerard Hamlin, I think he was, no, who was he? He's in my test here, I think. Let's see. If I go to Blue Black, then I would come down here to upload other documents, and I would upload that 4334. Now, I don't have one finished, so I'm just going to upload the 4333, but this would be the February 4334. I upload that, and that's there, and I use the Upload Other Documents option. 4334 is for any customer. Is that correct, Juanita?
Yes. I'm sorry, yes, it's not just for employment. That's the progress for any customer.
Okay. All right. I believe that I got all of the documents and the process down pat here. So this is a referral, or this is new. We're going to include all of this information in the notes that we're going to email out after this webinar. So in advance of the staffing, you need to make sure that your 2151As are uploaded. 3 days before the staffing, you need to complete and upload to the agency the 4333 by local office. While you're doing that, you can complete the 4334, download the 2151A and print it, download the case notes and print those, and then print the 4334 before you upload it to the person's file. The day of the staffing, you want to bring a copy of your 4333 for each office, bring a copy of the 4334 for each office, for each customer, bring a copy of the 2151A, bring a list of case notes related to the customers who are being staffed, and then, if applicable, again, bring a 2846G and any associated 3392s. Now, the 2846Gs are for the conciliation, and the 3392 are for the conciliation agreement. That was a lot of stuff today, folks. What other questions do we have?
Juanita, do you have any, you want to talk about the, any policies or procedures related to this?
Did you have any questions in particular? If not, I don't have anything. It's just that we want to make sure that I was under the impression that we're following the same policy for our regular SNAP, and with that, there's nothing extra really to add.
Okay. And I know this some of the CBOs are talking about, we're going to work with DHS on that 4334 to see exactly who all needs to complete that.
Okay.
And Juanita, we'll talk with you about that offline, and we can provide the information to the CBOs. Like I said, this is kind of work in progress. With the decentralization, the staffing was going to be on 59th Street, and I think they had a couple staffings with the EPIC project before it was all decentralized. Okay. So right now, this is work in progress on getting the staffings going again with a decentralized system. So I know it's a lot, but we just ask you guys to be very patient with us on this because this is a transition, and we're kind of, working our way through this. So this first one, it is very important that you attend in person, and it's going to be a full staffing. And then the nature of the way this looks as we, progress will probably, evolve. And like I said, our staff is going to help you guys. We'll work with you on an individual basis to work through this and get those documents together the easiest way possible. But this is a policy, and it is a requirement on DHS's side. And these staffings are, I think we've got about 5 EPIC providers that are also JPP providers, and there's a couple of them that are TANF providers too. So this is a staffing not just for EPIC, it's going to be a staffing for the TANF and JPP projects also, if you administer those.
And Dee, I think also what we should do is just put together a video that just clearly, lays out everything from start to finish, because we had lots of side conversation today with all this. So if we can just lay it out, very cleanly so that,
I'll take care of that. I'll try and get that done this week and uploaded.
Right, because we have a few questions that we need clarification on, so it'll be a good opportunity to include those clarifications, include the how-tos on all the documents, also a little bit of what to expect when you walk in the door for your staffing. So we really do appreciate the fact that DHS is having us only have to go to 2 locations, because otherwise we'd have to go to all the locations, and that would be a lot more. So we do appreciate that. We just need to iron out the details, and we don't want to wait for 2 weeks for our next CBO webinar. So yeah, that'd be great if you could do that, and we can send that out to everybody.
And then also, Eric, I looked into your payroll thing, and this is for all CBOs. Cody's working on making some updates to it, but it should be up and running perfectly good by tomorrow. So we'll get that fixed.
So in starting this week, we're going to be reaching out to you guys individually. In February, there's that evaluation team is going to be doing some number draws out of our system, and so we will work with you on the staffing process for one, but we're also going to be working with you on your data entry in the I-STEP and making sure that information is entered correctly in the I-STEP, and then also taking a look at your 2151A, the latest ones that you've uploaded, and making sure they correlate with what's in your I-STEP plan. So you'll be expecting, us to be reaching out to you in these next 2 weeks, basically, just to look at your data, make sure everything's entered correctly, clean stuff up, and we'll work with you on the payroll upload, so if you haven't done that too. But and to also, like I said, walk through this process with you again on the staffing.
All right. Eric, I see the question. I've put that in the pod for our staff to take a look at. We might just need to add a filter, but we'll check into that and see what we can do about having the career navigators find their caseload. If they export the list, it can be sorted by Career Navigator until we can figure out how to make that work for you more efficiently. So hopefully that answers a little bit of a question for you. Kelsey, Juanita? Kelsey is asking, how long are these first staffings anticipated to take? Should we schedule entire days off?
It depends. I can't give you any estimate of time. It depends on the amount of customers that are that are non-cooperation status that you have issue with, or that you're asking for any additional information. Those are primarily the ones we're going to have a conversation about. The AP we won't even talk about. We've already got that information. So I can't give you a time frame. You can have 10 customers and we only discuss 2. And you'll be out and you finish with that office.
Kelsey, you probably will not be talking about the actively participating. You will probably only talk about the non-cooperation. If the staffings are on days that we have already scheduled clients for orientation, will we be able to staff over the phone at a later date? Juanita?
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
If the staffings are on days that the CBOs have already scheduled clients for orientation, will they be able to staff over the phone at a later date?
Depend on the amount of customers. What we intend to do per Deidre's request is to have standard days if we're going to do this centrally for the staffing. So the standard days would be around the 8th, 9th, and 10th of the month. So if those are your orientation days, we would need to know that, and maybe we can change them. But we want to have some standard days so everybody is aware when these staffings will take place.
Juanita, Nancy Brown is asking, we received notification to have a phone staffing for 4 people on February 24th. Is that still applicable for Catholic Charities?
What office is it?
Catholic Charities.
What office, not what provider?
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
Is
she
it
didn't say
MidSouth?
that.
If it's MidSouth, no. It's not at MidSouth. You should come on the 10th. You said you had MidSouth, so you should come on the 10th or the 14th, whichever date MidSouth is there, and do their staffing now.
Kelsey, I don't know what. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Kelsey, there's 13 offices, and they don't see an overall schedule of when people are doing intake orientations because there's 17 CBOs in the Chicagoland area. So it's difficult for the DHS admin staff to see what everybody has intake orientations on. We might be able to get those on the CBO calendar so that they can try and plan around a little bit better. But between DHS orientations and CBO orientations, there's not going to be a perfect day, just because there's not going to be a perfect day. We'll have to do our best between everybody to work around the schedules. And there may be some alternate dates scheduled, right, Juanita? There might be some. All right.
There may be some alternate dates, but if at the end of the day, let's be honest, if it doesn't work out, then we won't do any more central staffing. You go to the individual offices, 5 or 6 offices, whatever, you know, you have for your particular service area. We're trying to see for February if this can work out.
All right, and Frank, we're going to send out the staffing to-do list, and I'm going to try and get things clarified before I put together the video. So we'll send out a notification about the staffing video and the schedule all at one time. What happens when we have a staffing for 2 different local offices on the same day, one from Region 1 and one from Region South?
Region 1 East South and Region 1 North, we're making them alternate days so that does not happen.
So there's no conflict, right?
Right. We're trying to make sure that there's no conflict.
Okay. All right. I see a couple people still typing. Can we be reasonable and not print the case notes for customers who aren't enrolled?
Would
There
you
probably
have
wouldn't.
Notes for those that's not enrolled? Or would the notes just say on the 2151 that you did an outreach? That would be sufficient for those that are not enrolled if it's on the 2151A, that you did an outreach of some sort.
And if they never attended orientation, that 2151 says no contact. Yes, current staffings are replaced by this new schedule for all programs. Is that correct, Juanita?
I'm just reading. I can play for this. Only if they have all 3 programs. If you have an office with just Work First, that schedule separately will be done. But if you have both EPIC, TANF job placement, Work First, and SNAP, all of them will be replaced with this schedule. For the month of February only, let's be clear.
All right, what we'll do is we'll grab all of the questions from this. We'll grab all of the questions from the chat pod and make sure that we get answers for all of these that are from DHS before we compile the video and the information.
Okay.
Okie doke.
One thing is imperative on you guys' part, though, is just make sure you have the 2151As uploaded by the 5th. And one of the things we want to make sure, too, is that your ISTEP, the information you're putting in the ISTEP, and we will be working with you on this, is reflective in the 2151A also. So, like I said, I know this is cumbersome, but we're going to work with you guys through this process, and it is work in motion. So it will, smooth out here.
All right. Keep typing. I'll leave the chat pod open. We'll catch all of the questions, but we are going to end the recording. And if you did not already get a chance to check in, please do that now. And we forgot staff success stories, but if you if you have any success stories, please add those to the success link. Kelsey, that's a cute question there. And then And then we'll have our next webinar on February 15th. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Thank you, Anita, for joining us today and answering our questions. It's all worked out in the long run.
Okay, have a great evening.
You as well. Bye.